Good evening, everybody. Good evening, girlfriends. This is Angela Jordan Perry with Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. We are about to get started here in just a moment. We have a wonderful guest, or interviewee, I should say, that will be joining us tonight. This is actually a rebroadcasting from earlier today. We had a little problems that was trying to sneak in there. But hey, we gave it a rest, gave technology a rest, and we are back in at it. So, joining us from, again, this is Angela Jordan Perry with Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. Hello, Heather. Take 5 in the name of Jesus. You got it, girlfriend. We had to get some things together, bind some things, get some things in order, but we are ready. Hello, here's our guest. We are ready. Karima. Woo, girl.
Hey.
I know we got it. We got it this time. We got it.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. All right, I'm about to,
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you wonderfully. I hope you can hear me as well. And I'm not choppy. If you all will just let us know where you are logging in and seeing us from, that would be great. Where are you tuning in at? Let us know. All right, Karima, I'm going to let you know when I have shared, and then you may likewise share to your locations. Okay. One there and one other. All right, let us know where you're tuning in from. If you can hear us well, give us some thumbs up, some hearts. That would be great.
If I could get my hair to stop looking crazy, we'd be all right.
But sometimes crazy is cute. Okay. Hey, Heather.
The rebroadcast from my bathroom, because I have a house full of children. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Quiet spot.
Yes.
Quiet spot. I gotcha. All right. Hello, Heather from Blacksburg. Who else do we have on here? Come on and let us know where you are at. And we are about ready to get started. Here we go. Everything is shared and we are all set. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. This is Angela Jordan Perry, and I am excited for this evening's interview. Woo! This is a rebroadcast. So I'm your host, Angela. I am the mother of 8 children, wife to 1, husband 26 years this year, and 18 years of homeschooling. 3 graduated, and we are still counting. I think we have 10 more years. I'm ready to retire. But anyway, here we go. We have our special guest, and I'm turned up for tonight's interview. We're going to get this done. I have no other than Miss Karima Green out of Pennsylvania. Y'all give it up for Karima. Woo, 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 Karima. Woo, girl. Are you ready to make it happen?
I am more than ready. I am beyond ready. Let's go. Let's do it.
We gonna do it. All right, here we go. Karima, she is a homeschool burnout. Almost drove this mama of the half dozen to the edge of depression. Being a slave to her curriculum, Karima Green felt like a failure, always behind with apathetic kids who lacked a luster for learning. It took 3 strikes, 3, a trip to the craft store, a slap in the face from a 16-year-old, and the idea of a fish climbing a tree, quote unquote, to finally convince her to try something she said she would never, ever do. And that is unschool. So through her educational consulting firm, the LOL Company, Karima champions other mamas and papas to discover the purpose of their children by encouraging kids to do something they would enjoy, do well, and be proud of, thus leading to their strengths. Once strengths and interests are identified and articulated, Karima believes kids should be encouraged to dream up disruptive and scalable solutions housed in marketable systems that are nurtured and funded by successful entrepreneurs with the intent of bringing a child's gift to the world. That's a world that Karima believes we all would love to live in. So, Karima, I have just given these girlfriends a brief bio about you. Please tell us more about yourself if there's more to share. And then also let us know how you got started on your journey to homeschooling.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, so very much for the opportunity and the privilege to share with your listening audience. Hello to all of my friends who are joining, all of my new friends as well. So to answer your question, Angela, I began homeschooling when my youngest was, he has a late birthday in December. And when he was a baby, I came across this program called the Institutes for the Achievement of Human Potential in Philadelphia. That's where I'm originally from. Go Eagles. And this program encourages parents to give their children the tools, very, very young children, the tools for learning all kinds of subjects, reading, math, encyclopedic knowledge. But they say to do it this way. And this is how we really began our homeschooling, unschooling journey. The institutes encourage parents to only teach when they are joyful, to only teach when their children are joyful, to only teach what their children are interested in, and here's my favorite one, and to stop before the child wants you to stop. So that means that if you think that your young one can sit through maybe about three minutes, of the flashcards, or then you stop at 1.5. So you leave the child sitting on the edge of their seat, always wanting more. So we began this program when the first child was born, and then only 17 months later, the second one came. And so it was fun. You reward the children with tickling and with laughter, and you never ask for it back, because learning is a gift. And so instead of testing the children or quizzing the children, you simply give when the child is ready to receive, and you reward the children by laughing and tickling and running and chasing around the house. So that was the introduction for my children to learning. And we used that method for many years. Somewhere around the time that my oldest turned about 5, that's when I thought, well, you're school age, so maybe I should start doing more school-like things. So I put down that method of learning, and instead I picked up what is more traditionally common. So we picked up Abeka. No offense to any Abeka users, but the classwork, the seat work, the school work, the homework, the after work, that was about to work all of us. So we switched from Abeka to Sunlight. And Sunlight literature-based learning curriculum in the homeschool world was great, because that's how my children do enjoy learning through literature. But that got a little complicated, when you add on more children and you have to keep up with all those different cores and everything. Then we switched from that now to classical education. By this time, I think I had maybe the 5th child. And, I really liked classical education because of how it breaks down the sections of childhood, right? The trivium, you have your grammar stage, your logic stage, and then your rhetoric stage. I resonated with that. So we dove head in, we did it with the logic and the Latin and the great books. And we did it all. And it was about that time that that's when the homeschool burnout began to set in. So that's our introduction to how we got started.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you got started on this trail, traditional method, classical, and then you ended up with your unschooling. So give us a synopsis of what this unschooling day looks like. For many people who don't know what that is, what does that look like? That sounds very interesting.
Well, before I get into the what, if you don't mind, I would like to explain the why.
Okay.
Because sometimes, we get caught up in the what. What am I doing? How do I follow this system? You know what I mean? Like when I started unschooling, I wish that there was an unschooling curriculum for me to follow, which is the complete opposite to the whole entire point. So right. I want to just explain the why, first of all. And then the why itself will explain the what, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of gets into those 3 strikes that you mentioned in my bio. So we were head on into classical education, and I had started another classical tutorial up here in PA where we live. And my daughter, oldest daughter, who is a dyslexic learner, she was preparing for a debate. And, you know, when you prepare for a debate, you have to argue both sides of the debate. And so I was cooking dinner and she was over there preparing. And I noticed that she began just kind of looking around the room. And I remember thinking, I wish this girl would focus on this debate that she has to do. And she said, Mom, she put her pen down and she said, Mom, do you think you can take me to the craft store? Crafts? Are you debating crafts? Because unless this debate that you're writing is about crafts, and I don't understand why you talking about going to the craft store. I need you to focus on this debate.
Right.
And I completely deflated, you know, her little hopes as she put her head down and she, you know, went back to her debate. And, you know, me, mama, you know, I felt accomplished that I had redirected her to what she was supposed to be doing. But that's why I heard a little voice and I heard God say, now, wait a minute. What if what I created her for is within the world of crafts? Who are you to say that that's not good enough? Look around your house. You know, you bought all this stuff. You bought all these paintings. You bought these little knickknacks that somebody's mama took them to the craft store and they made this stuff and you bought it. So that was strike number 1 that led us into the why. Strike number 2 came with that slap in the face by my 18-year-old. He was 16 at the time, and I said, so son, you're about to be 18. You know, what is it that you want to do with your life? You know, I poured everything into you. You know, that first child, right? They get it all. Mm-hmm. And what do you want to do? And he looked at me, and with his words, he knocked the wind right out of me. And he said, Mom, you know, all my life I've been homeschooled, and, you know, you've told me what to read. You've told me what to study. You've told me what to learn. You've told me how to demonstrate to you that I've learned something. When have I had the chance to know what I'm good at? When have I had the chance to try something that I might be interested in? When have I had the chance to know who I am? Slap, right? That was strike number 2. Strike number 3 came when I was reading a finance book by Robert Kiyosaki, and he had a quote in there by Albert Einstein, and it said, everybody is a genius, but if you take a fish and judge it by its ability to climb a tree, that fish will live the rest of its life believing that it's stupid. And that's what did it for me. So that's the why. So the why for me is getting to the purpose of my children, getting to understanding why did God make them? Why are they here? And once I understood why I needed to change their learning environment, the what followed naturally. So the what then reflects the why. So why? If the intent of this K through 12 experience is to get to the purpose of a child, then how do you figure out what the purpose of something is? You figure out the purpose of something by allowing that something to do something. Mm-hmm. Our homeschool days are very, very simple. It's so simple, Angela, that it's almost confusing. It's so simple that it's almost perplexed. And here it is in a nutshell. I simply say to the children every day, what do you want to learn? What are you curious about? What do you wonder? What would feed your brain? What would feed your heart? What speaks to you today? What would you like to do today that you would do well, you would enjoy, and you would be proud of? And by allowing children to do that, they begin to learn who they are, and they begin to learn their strengths and what they're good at. So I made that transition out of traditional learning. You know, I told you I had my classical mornings, right? And I had my delight-driven afternoons. You know, my class, because this was in the beginning when I was still holding on, you know, to my curriculum, right? And so I was children up in the morning and I would say, okay. You know, I understand. I need to let you, you know, do what you're good at. But I was still afraid I was afraid that if I allowed them to do that, to learn, how they wanted to learn what they wanted to learn, that they would not get this particular body of knowledge, right? This particular we all have had. So, man, I held on to my curriculum tight. And my children were obedient. They would sit down and they would listen to me, and they would, be compliant. But then after lunch, switched, and it was now delight-driven learning, and they were in charge. And I walked around with my clipboard, and I said to them, how may I serve you today? How can I help you today? What is it that you would like to learn that I can help you? And Angela, they came alive. Those children came up with all kinds of ideas, fun things that they wanted to learn, right? Some things were silly, some things were practical. But in that time, I saw the very lessons inside that body of knowledge that my curriculum said that they needed to know. They needed those lessons when they were doing the projects that they wanted to do. Now, I taught those very lessons, right? I was using Saxon math. I was using Math UC, all the, and I taught area, and the child sat right there and they listened to the lesson. They even got all the practice problems right. Praise God. Saxon and them 25, 30, practice problems. They got them all right. But then, 3 weeks later, when it's time for them to actually use what I taught, what I thought they learned, now all of a sudden they're saying to me, so Mom, I need to calculate the area of this thing that I'm building. How do you do that? Well, now I just taught that 2 weeks ago. It was lesson 12. It says so right here in this book, and you got them all right. You should have learned it. But they did not learn it then because they did not need it then. So, valuable lesson. I learned that yes, everything that our children need to learn, they can learn when they are given the chance to do something that they enjoy. And then if we really look at the definition of learning, the definition of learning is the acquisition of knowledge. The acquisition of knowledge. What prompts you to acquire knowledge? It's the same thing inside of food. What prompts you to go get something to drink? Like I have my water right here. I go get something to drink when I am thirsty. I go acquire knowledge when I am curious. And that's the missing secret. Allowing and encouraging children to be curious if authentic learning is really the goal. So I know that that's a long roundabout way to answer your question of what our days look like. Our days are really kind of sporadic. It all depends on what's going on. But a typical average day, my oldest one, before he graduated homeschool, he didn't like science, and he was in high school. He needed just 2 more credits to graduate, a science credit in English. And so I said, okay, you don't like science, but you have this car outside that you do like to drive. So would you be interested in learning auto mechanics? Would you be interested in that? And he said, well, yeah. I said, okay. So I connected him with a local mechanic. And for that semester, it was only supposed to be, just a few weeks. He learned how to change tires, change oil, brakes, do transmission, all kinds of stuff. And that counted for his science credit. And here's the deal. He was interested in it. He loved it. It ended up with a job for him. That he was there for a whole year and a half after his semester. So that's one example of what unschooling science might look like. For my younger ones, let's see, my second one, she is that dyslexic learner. When we switched to unschooling or child-led learning, I handed them a blank transcript. And I said, the state of Pennsylvania says that these are the things that you have to learn. So fill them out however you want. Now, Angela, this is what broke my heart. One child said, that daughter of mine, she said, oh, I get to learn what I want. Okay, great, bet, I got it. And she came back with all sorts of stuff, right? She came back with, well, this is the science that I want. Now, she chose a more traditional scope and sequence. But that's fine, because that's what she chose. So some more radical unschoolers might tell you to burn your curriculum at the stake. I say if a child wants to use that, then let them go ahead and use that. You know, she knew that she had complete freedom to learn however she wanted. But my oldest one, and this is what got me, my oldest one said, he looked at the blank transcript and he said, well, Mom, what am I supposed to want to know? What am I supposed to fill out here? I said, no. You can fill out whatever you want. What history would you be interested in? What am I supposed to be interested in? Do you hear that? Do you hear that indoctrination? You know, that's it at its finest, right? You know, we've told them, so this is the content of knowledge that you need to learn. And without this holy grail of content of knowledge, then you won't be prepared, you won't be equipped. Who says? Who says? So that's kind of a very long-winded explanation of why we learn this way and an example of what some of our days might look like.
Woo! Karima! Listen, girlfriends and guys on here, we are with Karima Green out of Pennsylvania. Unschooling, homeschooling, purposeful homeschooling mom of 6 children. I have taken so many notes. I think I'm going to have to need another sheet of paper. I got the front. I'm about to start on the back. Well, I'm telling you, this is nuggets. These are nuggets. I am even I always am gleaning. Good stuff. You all take notes, go through the replay, give Karima some thumbs up, some hearts. She's putting down the nuggets. She's putting down the nuggets, what we need to hear. Oh my goodness. And what you have done so beautifully is explain this unschooling and also made it not very scary. But my question to you is that of your older ones, they pretty much took the reins. This is what I want to learn, or I'm going to learn to know what I want to learn. What does unschooling look for your younger ones? Do you give them that same platform? Okay, here, you tell me, Mommy, what you want to learn today, or how do you steer that? Because many of us who are red type personalities who appreciate some curriculum to help them through through everything, that can be a little bit intimidating to be like, okay, I'm going to trust my third grader or whomever, whatever grade it is under than that high school, trust them to tell me they want to do more than play with Legos all day.
Right.
So what does that look like?
I'm glad you asked that question. So my children currently are 19, 17, I can do it. Wait a minute. Hold on. I can do this. 14, 12, 10. The 7. Oh, that hurt. That hurt my brain right there. So currently, I am actively unschooling the 14 and down. I'm not gonna get in the majors. So what it looks like for them. So my 7. Okay, I'll tell you this. My 7-year-old is completely unschooled. Completely. He's never seen a curriculum. He's never seen a workbook. Nothing. The older ones, the 10-year-old is partially unschooled, meaning that she has some experience with curriculum. The 2 middle boys, 14 and 12, they have a lot of remembrance of curriculum. So for them, what it looks like, they wake up. When they wake up, teenagers like to sleep, and I enjoy letting them sleep. The teenagers, when they wake up, they'll check their phones. They'll come down and talk to me. By this time, I might have CNN on, or I might have NPR, news playing. And so they'll listen to that, and they may comment on something. We may have a discussion while they're eating their pancakes. And then if something in that discussion piques their curiosity, then they may go and dig a little further on their own, to learn a little bit more. My 2 middle boys, the 14 and 12-year-old, they are science people. So they are into engineering. So they are constantly on YouTube and on various videos watching things of that nature. They may take their bikes apart and rebuild them. My 12-year-old wanted to learn how to take a skateboard and turn it into a snowboard. So we took the wheels off, and he found some girl, he got the hot glue gun, and he got some twisty ties. I said, now, hot glue gun and twisty ties, son, and snowboarding, I don't know how that's going to work, but you go right ahead and figure that out. So they feed themselves the things that they're interested in. My 12-year-old wanted to learn Japanese. So I found a Japanese tutor who comes to the house, and she began teaching him Japanese. So somewhere within the week, he may go and practice his Japanese. He may listen to, an app that will help him with the language. My 8 years, so those are the boys, the 14-year-old and the 10, and the, what I say? 14 and why do I do this? 12. Zion and Zori. I can't even with the ages. Zion and Zori, that's what they do. Zion, the 14-year-old, loves politics. So he may go and, for instance, last week or 2 weeks ago, I found him on YouTube watching, what is it called? The Women's March. And so I asked him, I said, so, what did you glean from that? And he said, well, Mom, I just noticed that there are a lot of people there for many different reasons. And we had a discussion about, the Women's March that happened, in DC and then around the country. So they feed themselves their interests. I've taught them how to learn. If I've taught them anything, I've taught them how to learn. Now, my younger ones who are 10 and 8, the 10-year-old is an artist. So she is constantly drawing. So she's on YouTube, and she found an app that, allows her to learn various different art techniques. So she came down just yesterday and she said, hey, Mom, check this out. And then she showed me something, and she mentioned an art technique that I had never heard of before. And I said, Joy, where'd you learn that from? She said, oh, from this app that I was watching. And she named the girl as if they were best friends, child. And she called it the Barbie effect. And I said, really, Joy? I said, what do you mean by Barbie effect? She said, well, you don't want to draw every face that looks the same. You don't want every face to look like Barbie. You have Army Barbie, and you have Dr. Barbie. You want to vary your art. So she taught herself that art term because it is within the world of what she's interested in. So for her, art history is what she does for history. So I got a book, and we just read through the different time periods, of her favorite artists. So that's how we get history done. For math, of course, math is everywhere. So if we're at the grocery store, we're rounding up so we have enough money, when we go to checkout. We're calculating percent. I'm always talking out loud about how to do something. Because I understand people are saying, okay, so unschooling, yeah, following the kids' interests, yeah, but how do you get in those subjects that they don't like? How do you address those things that maybe the state says that you have to learn, but your kids don't like that? Well, that's how you do it. You talk out loud about everything. My youngest one, now, Angela, this is the most fascinating to me. I probably should have mentioned that I am a formerly certified teacher, Maryland certified public school teacher. Some people say to me, oh, well, you were a teacher, of course you can homeschool. Yeah, I can homeschool, but being a teacher does not help me unschool. I actually have to erase all of my former training. So my youngest one, believe this or not, is unschooling reading. What a fascinating concept. Yes. He is, right? How does a child unschool reading? How do you learn how to read if no one sits you down and says, today you're going to have a 30 or 40-minute lesson in phonics? How do you do that? Very easily, by following the child. When he is ready, he will learn how to read, and it looks like this. Okay, you're going to love this. This happened this past summer. I was sitting outside on the hammock, girl, trying to gather my mind, just trying to get a moment of quiet. And he comes outside and he says, Mom, I need to learn how to read these words. I said, okay. I said, well, what words? He said, okay, I need to learn how to read. Check this out. On and off, up, down, left, right, play, and it was something else. I said, okay, that's an odd set of words. On, off, up, down, left, right, play, and something else. I said, okay, play and stop, I think it was. So I wrote the words down, and, I showed him the sounds, and he said, okay. He skipped back into the basement where his brothers were, and he said, I'm ready to play now. I know how to read. I know how to read the words on the video game. I'm ready to play.
Gotcha.
But he is, he's coming to it when he's ready. And so he came upstairs the other day. Bullying happens in homeschool as well. He came upstairs and he said, Mom, The guy said that I have to learn how to read. I said, really, Jules? I said, okay, what's the matter? He said, well, the guys are saying, the guys are his older brothers. The guys are saying that they're not going to read for me anymore. And they said that I have to learn how to read. They said, it's time for me to be literate. I said, okay, wait a minute. We're not going to allow anyone to pressure you into reading. If you want to learn how to read, then I can teach you how. And he said, well, Mom, I guess I have to learn the alphabet. And I said, no, baby, you don't need to learn the alphabet in order to learn how to read. You just have to know the sounds associated with those letters that are in those words in order to learn how to read. I said, for instance, watch this. You already know. So I sounded out the word dog, one sound at a time, without saying the word. And instantly he said, oh, that's the word dog. I said, mm-hmm. Now the only thing you need to know, son, is how to associate those sounds with that letter. That's it. So he is coming to reading on his own. He learned numbers, a numerical concept of time, because in our house, I said, okay, you guys can have more entertainment at around 7 o'clock at night. But, you know, if you're going to watch something, let it be something that'll feed your brain earlier in the day. And so he looked at the clock and he said, Mom, it's 4 o'clock now, right? How he learned the number 4, I don't know. I never sat down to him and said, this is the number 4. This is your lesson on the number 4. But he learned it. And I said, yeah. He said, Mom, and I can watch something at 7 o'clock, right? And I said, yes. And this is what I love. All of my teachers, all of my educators out there, you'll get this, because this is an objective that we teach children. He picked up 4 fingers. He started with 4 because it was 4 o'clock. And he said, 5, 6, 7. He said, Mom, I just have 3 more hours and then I can watch something. My teacher brain was about to explode. That's a whole concept right there, right? To know that in order to get from 4 to 7, you got to start with 4. Because, you know, some children, they'd be like, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, baby. You got to start with 4 because that's what you have. Just to understand that he got that concept without me formally teaching it blew my mind. So they are gathering information as we live. Again, talking out loud about everything, explaining everything, asking them what it is that they're curious about, writing it down on our wall. For instance, today I simply write down, I wonder, ... And the children are able to write down on our blackboard whatever they wonder about, and then that's what we learn. So a child was curious about Mardi Gras. Okay, Mardi Gras, what is Mardi Gras? That led us into a whole entire historical context, right? About religion and history and exactly what does that mean. Another child wanted to learn Valentine's Day. What is that? Again, another opportunity for a historical concept. Someone else wanted to learn about something else that had to do with currency. I don't remember what it was. But whatever they're curious about, you can open up that world and just delve right in and go as deep as they want to or not. So I hope that kind of answers your question a little bit as far as
honey.
how the...
Yes. Yeah, that answered the question and gave a whole lot more questions. Oh my goodness, girlfriends, we could stay up here all night just picking Karima's brain because she is putting it down like, woo, almost exploding over here. Karima, this is good stuff. Very good. Good. I think I really hope that for all of us who are listening, for me, is freeing us up in our mindset and our thoughts and our views about how we can homeschool different. If you're not this homeschooler for all the subjects all day long, at least in some subjects for sure, I can see that this is very feasible, very, 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 very feasible and understandable. So Karima, thank you. Look, girlfriends, I need you to hit the share button. Hit the share button. Get your other girlfriends on here listening so they can see and be encouraged, because Karima is bringing some insight and some I don't know, just some wisdom, some nuggets that are going to be powerful for our homeschooling. And this is exactly what it is. We got a village, and she's up in Pennsylvania, hanging out in Baltimore. We got an extended village right here. Let me ask you some questions. So we could keep going on. I got so many, but let's hit some specific questions as we dig in a little deeper. You all, please hit the share button. Please get the word out about Karima Green and this interview that we have going on with her. So Karima, tell us let's go here. In our earlier interview portion, you shared with us how you went through a hard, challenging time with your husband having leukemia and going through that. And so one of the things that most of us homeschoolers have to deal with is either the concern of either being this one income family, this two income family, two having to work. But now you have had all of this laid upon you as being the sole provider. I mean, other than the Lord providing for you. But tell us how are you doing this? How is your, I don't know, the word is sanity, but what is your sustenance? How you're doing it's homeschooling 6 children, 14 and under, and it's you. Give us some insights for us moms who are considering homeschooling, but like, I just got to have 2 paychecks, or ones who doing it with 1 paycheck, like, I don't know how much long. Give us some insights. Drop some nuggets for us.
Ooh, hold on. I need another sip of water for that. Good Lord. Okay. So, yes, as I shared earlier, my husband passed away 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years this Thursday. Prior to that, very much like you, I've been home with the children since my last gainfully employed day was December 18th, 1998. So my oldest is 19. So I've been, at home for 19 years. So, yeah, that was the first thing, when the diagnosis came and the prognosis was as grim as it was. I remember thinking, okay, girl, what you about fitting to do, if I can say it like I really said it to myself. Funny thing, prior to the diagnosis, I heard God say to me, your season of being industrious is about to begin. And so he kind of led me to Proverbs 31. So I began to look at that again. Now I grew up with that passage. My mother owns a hair salon named after Hairstyles for the Virtuous Woman. So I'm very, very familiar with what that passage in the Bible explains. There is a very industrious woman who has multiple streams of revenue coming in, and she is taking care of her family, her husband and her children. So I also heard God say, start with what you already give away. Start with what you already have in abundance. And again, people would come to me, for homeschool information, knowledge, help. And so I said, okay, well, let's start there. And then shortly after right before the diagnosis, that's where we switched to unschooling. And going through that deschooling process, that's where I wish I had someone to hold my hand. That's where I wish I had someone to tell me, it's okay. You're going to vacillate between wanting to use your old curriculum and wanting to live and learn in freedom with your children, and that's okay. So that was the very first business that I started. I started the LOL company as a means to give from my place of abundance and to make me a way for my family and I. The funny thing is, I'm so glad you asked this question, Angela, because my platform is, much, much larger than homeschooling. I believe that education in a whole, needs to change. And that being said, I know that there's some single moms looking at me, wondering, okay, so that's good for you because, you had a husband and you started off this way, but what about for me, if I'm a single mom? And now that I am a single mom, I'll say that it does take a village. It is possible. If you have a grandparent that's nearby or an auntie or someone that can sit with your children on the days that you work. For me, my teenagers are here with my children. And when I need to sneak off to get some work done, I work about 2 or 3 days a week. And so they're able to still be productive while I'm gone. So I started a couple of businesses, but they all center around the word purpose. I believe that needs to be the focus for, the K through 12 experience, purpose, and not just helping someone figure out what they're good at, but then, leaving them there, but also providing funding for them in order to walk out their purpose. So another business that I started is called Overflow, which is the investment arm that I use to start all of the businesses. Overflow Capital Investment Circle. One day, Angela, I have aspirations and dreams of of owning a venture capital firm. Not too many women of color do, and I want to be one of those women who can do that, who can walk into our cities and our streets, especially in those brown and Black communities where innovation has not been, places outside of Silicon Valley in New York. And I want to teach others, how to do that. So that's how we're making it happen, through many of our friends who have decided to come alongside of us. But unschooling really has allowed me the time to do so, because I kind of worked myself out of a job. I don't have to sit right there and, teach every single subject. My goodness, once they learn how to read, they really began to teach themselves. But if anything, I am there to drive them places. I am there to encourage. I'm there to explain. I'm there to have fun. I'm there to learn with them, which is what I'm excited to be able to do. So it is possible. It's very possible. If I can do it as a single mom, I know that anybody can do it as a single mom. But again, single parent, I should say, it really goes back to the why. The why are we doing this in the first place? And the why will always prompt you to do the what.
That's true. So true. Oh, girlfriends, I hope you all can hear clear now. I see some of you saying it was frozen. We didn't have any freezing on our part, but perhaps you go back through the replay. It should be cleared up. So we made it through all of that. Woo, hallelujah. No cutoffs, no start overs. Ooh, so listen, here's some questions. As we come to the end of our show, here's some questions to pick your brain. You can give us some quick answers on these, and we'll go from there. So, Karima, now you have it laid out beautiful in your schooling. And my mantra, one of my mantras of life is that no one has a ticket to perfect. No one gets a ticket to perfect. I don't know how wealthy you are, how you don't have this much or whatever. Nobody has a ticket to perfect. So take us to your day of homeschooling. Where is your worst day where you thought that I can't do this? No, I'm done. No, I'm done. I'm sending them to public school, or I don't know, but I'm not doing this no more. Take us to that day, Karima. But you didn't quit. You didn't quit, and that's why you're the amazing bomb.com homeschooling mama that you are today.
That day came right before we began unschooling. That day came when I was trying to match my curriculum. I kept falling behind. I felt like a failure. I felt like, I wasn't good enough. I remember washing the dishes, and in my kitchen window, there's a public school that sits right out there. And I remember looking at that brick building thinking, if I could just put my kids there, at least they will learn what it is that they need to learn. And I remember, God saying to me, by law, that school cannot do the very thing that I have commanded you to do. So please do not send your children there, because I have commanded you to impress upon your children me, is what God said. So those days, my very, very worst days were days when we were just living outside of what I knew homeschooling could be. And it really wasn't until I shifted over to this. Angela, it's going to sound fake and phony, but it really is true. When we began unschooling, when I began allowing my children to live and learn seamlessly, I can't say that I've had a bad day. Because even if it's a bad day, like the day when the car ran out of oil, and I had to figure that out, we figured it out together, because no day is wasted. You see what I mean? It's not like, I have to say, we missed doing math today. No, we can still do math right now. We can, whatever mathematical concept is present right now, we can talk about it, and maybe you can learn it. So I think the only bad day that I've had since unschooling might be the very first time we had to do a review. In Pennsylvania, we have to do a review at the end of the year where you sit down with an evaluator. And I think that was the first time that I had a little bit of panic, because I was like, oh, wait, how do we document, all of the living and learning that we've done? Once again, God said to me,
All right, seems like we have lost Karima. Let's see if she's going to come back in here. Karima. All right, if you all can still hear me, give me some thumbs up. Let me know that you're with me. And come back in with us. Oh, we'll have to add her. Okay, I'm going to have to add her back. All righty. Give me some thumbs up. If you can hear what's going on, please, please, please give me some thumbs up. You're here. Karima's here. Okay, there she is. We're going to add her back in.
Yep, I'm back. Sorry.
There you go. All right, Karima.
So that was my worst day.
Okay. All right. All right. So tell us, what was your proudest day of homeschooling?
My proudest day. Ooh, that's a good question. I think my proudest day was, how people will quiz your kids? And how someone will say, well, if you're homeschooled, or more specifically, if you're unschooled, then do you know this or do you know that? And I think my proudest day came when one of my boys, my middle boys, he said, no, I don't know that, but I do know what I'm good at. He just left it at that. And, for me, because I felt a little anxious at first, right? Because I said, ooh, I hadn't quite taught him that, or we hadn't got to that. But when he said with such assuredness, he said, no, but I know what I'm good at. I think for me, that just put it to rest for me. Because for me, that's what I want. That's what I want at the end of the day. Know what you're good at, who you are.
Good deal. So tell us again, these are your questions. As we come to the end of the show, you all make sure you share. Get these last ones in here so they can hear. Thank you, Michelle Hudson. Welcome in. So listen, Karima, tell us, other than the quote you mentioned at the beginning of the show, what is another quote that you use as your mantra that keeps you going through this unschooling journey?
I would have to, and I'm glad you asked that question, because I know we're wrapping up, and this kind of ties in perfectly with what I wanted to share before our time was done. These are actually some quotes that God has given me, as I have questioned, am I on the right path? Am I doing what we're supposed to do? That we are no longer in the information age, but we are now in the imagination age. And, because we are now in the imagination age, we do not need to necessarily bombard our children with the need to memorize and regurgitate information and facts, because we are also now, in the age of Siri and Alexa. If you need to know something, you just ask Siri or Alexa, right? But instead, we need to give our children the opportunity to do something that machines can never do. I find myself saying that a lot these days. If Siri and Alexa and Google and artificial intelligence and augmented reality are going to be our reality, then we need to encourage our kids to do the work that machines can never do. And that is to think and to feel and to imagine and to fiddle and to play and to invent. Another quote that I find myself saying a lot is, that our children need to create scalable and disruptive solutions, and that they need to house them in systems. That's all part of knowing what you're good at and knowing who you are. So these are just some quotes that have just been rolling around in my mind. The intent of the K through 12 experience, it was rooted and formed in the industrial age, and we're no longer in that age anymore. And it's necessary that it does not matter where your children are going to school. You know, if they're in public school, private school, homeschool, it doesn't matter. The intent of the K through 12 experience has to be to find out the purpose of that child. And that's what I'm begging parents to do. Your kids must be able to know who they are. I tell my children, when you leave this house, you got to know who you are. You must know who you are. You got to know what you're good at and know how to capitalize on those strengths. And you have to know your weaknesses and know how to mitigate those. You have to know pillars in the greenhouse. You have to know 5 things. You got to know the faith of your fathers. Whatever the faith of your family is, you got to know that. And then choose to adopt it as your own, you know, if you so please. Number 2, you got to know yourself. Know what you're good at, know what you ain't. Number 3, you got to know something about money. You got to understand how money is made. You have to understand how to create residual income because you're not always promised to have a job. Number 4, you got to know where things are in the world. Number 5, you got to know what's going on in those places when you get there. So those are some quotes that kind of have just been on my mind.
Oh, that is. You know what I say?
I'm just telling you.
Okay, next question. Oh my goodness, next question. Okay, do you plan to homeschool all the way through to the end in high school?
I do. I've already graduated one from homeschool. I'm about to graduate my second one this May. And she is already attending community college. She is dually enrolled. That's what she's doing full time. I see homeschooling allows many opportunities, travel and study abroad, you know, while you're in high school. Depending on the bent of the child, you can earn your associate's degree while you're still in high school. There's just so many opportunities, you know, to live and learn and to find out who this kid is. So yes, if God says so, if he allows me, I would love to continue all the way through.
Beautiful, beautiful. What is a curriculum or book that you feel like every homeschool, I know you're not big on the books, but maybe it's a reading book or something along those lines that you feel like every homeschool should have?
All right, hold on. I'm about to get it. Wait a minute. I just had it. I must have just picked it up. Hold on. I'm about to tell you. Oh, Lord, where did it go? It is by Pam Larisha. Larisha is her name. And it's called, what is it called? I think it's called Living Joyfully, Learning Joyfully. And basically she just explains, you know, how to do this unschooling process, how to live and learn in freedom with your children. You know, back in the day, you know, I probably would have recommended, what is her name? Susan Wise Bauer. Remember her from, what is it? What's the name again? What's the name of her book? You know what I'm talking about.
I do. I can't think of it, but I know. I read the same book.
Right. We read the same books. So I would have recommended her back in the day. But now I really just would encourage parents. I'm looking for that book. It's somewhere right here in my house. I would encourage parents to read books that talk about self-directed learning. Any book that encourages parents to follow the bent of their children. Grace Llewellyn is another good one. The Unschooler's Handbook, I believe it's called. Because for me, it really doesn't matter the curriculum that you use. You know, history is history. George Washington did what he did. It doesn't matter, you know, who wrote it down and who dressed it up and whatever curriculum is still going to be the same. But finding out who your kid is, to me, it trumps any and all other curriculum.
Very good. Tell us, what is the best piece of advice you have received since you've been to school?
The best piece of parenting advice, I think I received it, and it translates across the board. This woman told me, she said, love your children as if you will not have them next year. Love and enjoy your children as if you will not have them next year. But teach and train your children as if they will not have you next year. And that has been something that has been so... Yep. Love and enjoy your children as if you will not have them next year. Teach and train your children, prepare them for life as if they will not have you next year. And for me, that just puts it all in proper perspective.
That is beautiful. 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 Let me go back to one last question. We're right at the end of our show, but one person wanted to, I think you cut out when you asked the questions about, you were saying the Lord had told you something specific when the person came to do your audit, the evaluator. That's where we lost you. What did the Lord tell you when the evaluator came?
The Lord told me to build what I wish I had, so I did. I built the LOL company has a couple of different offerings. One of them is called the LOL Portfolio, where you can take your phone if you are living and learning or unschooling in freedom. You can take your phone, take a picture, take a video of whatever it is your children are doing. Fill in, and your children can do it, fill in the field of the name, the date, the location, and then write a brief description of whatever it is that you just did. And then you can put a school subject title on it, submit it and save it as a PDF. And then when it's time for the evaluation, simply pull the ones that you want your evaluator to see and email them. So that is ready now. You'll find that it's on my website, and I'm actually creating a commercial for it right now. So what God said was, build what you wish you had. And I wish that I had a way to capture the living and the learning, because, we didn't have a whole bunch of textbooks anymore. We didn't have a whole bunch of worksheets anymore, right? So the first year, we almost buried the lady in all of our classical worksheets. She was like glossy-eyed looking at all that stuff. But then the next year she came, she noticed a huge difference. We didn't have as much paper, but we had more experiences to tell her about. And so that will be available for you all as well. Limited time offer. I have a special offer for that. You get 6 months free when you sign up for an annual subscription. So that will be available soon. Yep. So the LOL Portfolio is found on the lolcompany.org's website.
I'm going to have all of this in the show notes, lolcompany.org. On the website. I'm going to have all this information on the show notes. So that's going to be available. So here we are. We're at the end of our show. The last question, Karima. We made it. Woo! Karima, this is the $1 million question. Are you ready? Woo! All right. Karima, if you had to start all over again, day one homeschooling, but you have your current wisdom, knowledge, skills, experience, convictions, all of who you are now, and you had to start all over again to day one, what is something that you would change for sure, or would have for sure is going to be implemented on this day one of your homeschooling?
Girl, if I could go back with what I know now, that's what you're saying? I would have started with what I started with, and I would not have put it down. I would have gotten on the floor with my children, and I would have learned with them, and I would have played with them, and I would have followed their curiosity, and I would have been curious myself. I would have fed their curiosity. If I can go back, I would tell myself, girl, it's going to be okay. Your children are going to turn out just fine. They are who they are. You do not have to try and make them into anyone that you would want them to be or hope them to be. Follow their bent. Train up a child in the way that he should go. Who is he? Train him up in that way, and then trust the process and enjoy the process. Love them, correct them, train them, teach them things of this world. Go outside. The whole world is your classroom. Don't sit at that dining room table filling out yet another worksheet that they're not going to remember, but instead embrace and live and be in the moment. It is going to be okay. It is enough. Your babies are enough. They themselves are enough. Find out who God made them to be, and then put more logs on that fire until it erupts into something that they cannot even withstand and withhold themselves. Feed their gifts. that they have, that they know that they have, that you know that they have, because you saw it in them when they were little. Trust that it's enough. Trust that God made them for so much more than you can even imagine for them. And then don't hold them back. Please trust that it's going to be okay. And then take the brakes off, give them over to the Lord, and then go. But I would tell myself.
Woo, all right, girl, that was good. That was good. That was good. That was good. Woo, well, Karima, listen. Any last words of advice you want to give us girlfriends? And then also, please let us know where you have your hands at in this community of homeschooling. What is your outreach? Your hands outreach. Share that, and then let us know how we can get in contact with you. 3 things. Last words of advice and encouragement. What are you doing? What's your hands in? And 3, how we can get in contact with you to learn more and stay connected with you as our village, part of our village.
Perfect. I will hit it nice and quickly. Number 1, last words of advice. Get to the purpose of your kid. Find out the gifts that are inside of them. And then feed that and encourage them to do that. Pick a problem, last words of advice, pick a problem inside of your community right now and encourage your children to think and dream of a solution to that problem. Second thing, my hands in the community. 2 things come to mind. Number 1, I am looking within the Baltimore area for another mom to join me so that we can have ourselves another LOL Center. The LOL Center is a homeschool co-op that is centered around the children. I want to find out, what are your kids interested in learning in a group, and then let's go find some tutors to go make that happen. That is something that I'm looking to do nationwide, actually. I would love to come wherever you are and help you set that up. I will be at various different homeschool conventions all across the country. And then what was the last thing? I forgot. One major thing that I'm doing starting in March. If you want to find out what your kids are good at, but you don't know if you have the time to do it, I'm launching Finding True North, where I am the mediator. We're meeting online, and I'm taking a group of kids between the ages of like 7th grade up through high school. And we're just going to do stuff. We're going to figure out what your kids are good at by giving them an opportunity to do something they would enjoy, do something they were proud of, and do something that they think they would do well. It's a 12-week project-based cohort. And we'll meet online, and then I'll call them over the phone, speak to your parents also by email to make sure that they're completing their projects. And then at the end, I would love to do some type of showcase. One of the projects that they do, 2 to 3 projects, one of them has to solve a problem. So that's starting in March. We are crowdfunding starting in February to cover the expenses of whatever it is the kids will need, because I want your kids to understand entrepreneurship as well. You don't let anything stop you from your dream. Nothing. Money is not a reason to say that you can't do what God made you to do. So I'm going to teach them how to do that. So the LOL Center, looking for co-ops and whatnot, and then Finding True North. Those are 2 hands in the community. And then you can always, always, always reach me right here on Facebook. You can go to the LOL Companies page and like it and follow it. You can always email me at karima@thelolcompany.org. You can always go to my site, thelolcompany.org. And I would love to chat with you. I would love to answer your questions. My goal, Angela, is to employ homeschool moms. Because, like you said, I've been at home for 19 years. I know what that's like, girlfriend, right? When you try and get your nails done, want to get your hair done, want to do a little something in the community, and you got to pinch off a little bit off of the grocery budget, The kids are like, well, Mom, I thought we were going to have steakums. No, we're not having steakums, because I'm going to take that $10 and I'm going to put that over here into my fund so I can do what it is that I need to do. So I want to employ homeschool moms through the LOL Company. So they can, any moms that are interested in unschooling, they can contact me, and I can show them how I can utilize them in our company to help other moms learn in freedom as well. So Karima@thelolcompany.org, at thelolcompany.org. Like my page, The LOL Company, on Facebook, and I love to chat with you.
Woo! Girlfriends! Oh my goodness, you are the average sum of the 5 people you hang out with. And you have been hanging out in the earlier part of the day. We had to start over. Now in the evening part of the day, you've been hanging out with Karima Green of Pennsylvania. So, oh my goodness, keep up the momentum and continue to look out and seek out other homeschooling moms who's going to make a positive impact in your journey, in your life, and in your homeschooling. So, woo, Karima, thank you. We are so grateful here at Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. We appreciate you for giving of your time to make this investment into our lives, into our homeschoolers, and into homeschoolers worldwide. So thank you so much. God bless you. God bless your efforts and all you put your hands to multiply. May they be planted seeds in good ground. So thank you for doing that for us. Girlfriends, I hope you found this interesting, encouraging, enlightening, motivating, insightful, put some fire and fuel into what you're doing, and loving your kids. Purposeful homeschooling is what Karima has shared with us this evening. A new look on that, a new heartbeat. Her quote is going to be forever in my heart. I'm going to have to hang this up somewhere. Love your children as if you will not have them next year, and teach and train them. Teach and train your children as if they will not have you. I mean, that just gives me a whole new perspective for what we do, why we do it. Thank you so much, Karima. So grateful. All of you girlfriends, be sure to jump over to Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling with Angela. Like the page, follow us as we get these amazing, life-changing, life-shaping interviews coming our way. You need to hear them. So if you go over to the page, go to the page right now, Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. Like it. When I go live with these interviews, you're going to hear about it. So again, thank you, Karima Green out of Pennsylvania. You know how to get in contact with her. You all listen to this interview again. Share it, and get these other homeschoolers encouraged. So again, thank you so much. We made it. Hallelujah. We had to pray and fast on this one right here. I haven't had to do that with any of the interviews, but hey, we did it. I'm like praying fasting. You all be blessed. Thank you. We have another great interview coming up tomorrow, every day this week. This is our interview blitz week. So again, Karima, my soul sister up in Pennsylvania,
yes,
cannot wait to get to you. And continue with the efforts in reaching this homeschooling community across the world. So you all have a great night. We will take care and see you all soon. Have a great night. God bless you all. Bye, Karima.
Bye-bye.
Love you, girl.
Bye-bye. Love you too, honey.